Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP finds herself in the middle of an explosive confrontation with an entitled customer berating a cashier simply for being friendly. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Karen loses it over a friendly cashier. I made sure she regretted it. A few weeks ago on a bright Sunday morning, I was on my way to the zoo with my daughter, 2-year-old female, and niece, 2.5-year-old female. I stopped by the grocery store to have a snack. I had the girls in the trolley and got in line to the cashier. The lines were long, but hey, life, right? The cashier was doing her thing while chatting with the clients, and I was minding my own business, talking with the kids and patiently waiting. Suddenly, I hear shouting and see an irate woman yelling at the poor cashier who was visibly getting more and more upset. The client, an older woman with no distinctive features, was yelling like a banshee because the cashier dared to wish a good day to the previous client and basically being nice and friendly. And because of that, our dear Karen was running late. Again, it was around 10:30 to 11 on a Sunday morning, for F's sake. That's when I remembered all those stories, those poor workers who were basically not allowed to talk back and have to take the abuse, and I decided to intervene. I have a very strong voice that carries loud when I want to. I asked loud enough for the entire store to hear, "What the hell is your problem? What kind of behavior is that?" I think the Karen was not expecting someone to dare to stop her tirade. She recovered and tried replying. I stopped her and told her that she was the only one holding back the line and that the cashier was doing her job and doing it well. In the meantime, the manager had arrived and had replaced the cashier, who was crying, with another worker and came to ask what was going on. Karen starts again. I let her rant for a few seconds, then gave my version of what happened in the most calm and sane voice possible. Let me tell you, Karen was fuming and started complaining again about the cashier being slow because she was chatting nicely with the customers. By then, her grocery was finished being rung and the manager asked her to pay and leave. This might not be the best climax compared to all the other stories I've read. And if you've read so far, I hope that if you also encounter this type of entitlement, you will also remember all these Reddit stories and decide to act. Thanks for reading me. Honestly, good on you for stepping in. It's baffling how some people think basic human decency is a personal attack. Like, what kind of miserable existence do you have to lead for someone simply being polite to send you into a full-blown meltdown? And our second story. They thought I couldn't read the rules, so I followed them too well. I'm a recovering alcoholic and stayed in a substance abuse facility about a year ago. The facility was co-ed and had reasonably strict rules regarding room visits and contact between sexes. The room visit policy was that there could be mixed genders in rooms, but there had to be a minimum of 5 residents present, and you must have permission from staff first. Fair enough. I was on my way to my room and happened to walk by a female friend on the way up the stairs. We stopped at the top of the stairs and chatted for a few minutes. I saw no issue with this. As far as I knew, we were not violating any rules in doing so. One of our recovery coaches saw this and did not seem to agree with me. We'll call this man Kevin. Kevin is an arrogant guy and doesn't like to be proven wrong or made a fool of. Neither do I. Kevin and I didn't get along so well. Kevin stormed into the stairway and began shouting at both of us for having an inappropriate room visit. When I calmly pointed out that we were not in either of our individual rooms and were in fact in the public stairwell, this only seemed to enrage him further. "You're not effing stupid, OP. You know damn well that these rules apply to other areas of the building, and you're just being a punk now about it." Kevin proceeded to strip away a bunch of privileges from me and place the both of us on a gender ban. All the while, I continued stating my case that I was doing nothing wrong and that if I somehow had, it was not with malicious intent. He accused me of clearly not being able to read the rules that are clearly posted on the wall. I decided to take him up on that and read the rules for myself. One of the rules stated something along the lines of how room visit policies apply to other areas of the facility, including gym, swimming pool, etc., etc. Rather vague and open to interpretation. Okay, I suppose that could include the stairway. That really complicates things, but oh well. Guess I'll go and inform the other clients of this policy. By the end of the day, I had 30 other clients approaching that staff member every time they needed to use the stairs, since it was brought to my attention that the stairs were now held in the same regard as the swimming pool in the gym. This meant that no client could pass through there alone. They must either have 4 clients with them, and they had to inform the staff member of their intention. Needed to go get coffee? Got to ask staff so they could assemble and approve a group of 5. Wanted to step outside for a smoke? Got to ask staff so they could assemble and approve a group of 5. I was front and center of it all, insisting that if Kevin allowed any individual to use the stairs without 4 other clients present, then this is yet another example of an inappropriate room visit and must be treated as such. He began to get flustered and backpedaled on his claim, but could not come up with any reason why this should be treated any differently than my situation. He eventually, reluctantly said that there did not need to be 5 people in the stairwell. So to be clear, there are no stipulations in regards to passing through the stairwell? I just want to be clear because we have like 15 addicts here who want to smoke or go to the recreation room or, etc. But we also wouldn't want to be breaking any rules. He admitted there was no such rule, returned my privileges to me, and lifted the gender ban off me. Then I decided to be even pettier. Since it had now been brought to my attention that there was no official handbook rule regarding hanging out in the stairway, I began to assemble get-togethers in the stairs with up to 10 people at a time to bypass the room visit restrictions. Kevin did not like that, but didn't know how to shut it down. They eventually put in place a rule that movement within the confines of the stairs must remain consistent due to potential fire hazards, and they must only be used as a means of getting from one place to another. That logic sat well with me, so I didn't fight it. I don't get that mentality. They're there to help you, supposedly. Why stress out a bunch of addicts and make them more likely to lapse? That dude just needs to be fired. Hope you're doing well now, friend. And our last story. Entitled dad and son try to steal my grandpa's car. So a little bit of a backstory. My grandfather used to work for GM as an electrician, and as such, when he saved up enough in 1967, he purchased an RS SS 350 Mountain Green Chevy Camaro. He raced it on the rare occasion, and when my mother was born, he parked it for about 20 years in the garage, and only around the time I was born, about 30 years later, did he start taking the car out for car shows. So after a recent car show earlier this spring, my grandfather, before heading home with his car, stopped at a nearby gas station. This is a small town in Ohio between Dayton and Springfield, right off the major highway, so it wasn't uncommon for nicer cars and classics to be out and about. Myself, my grandmother, and my mother were at the time in the middle of driving the 3 other cars, a pair of early 90s convertible edition Camaros and a 1957 Bel Air, back to their house. And yes, this will play into the story later. As my grandfather was filling the tank, a man pulled in with a truck and car trailer and got out to fill his tank. His son, a teenager, hopped out of the passenger seat, and while his father headed inside, the kid headed over to my grandpa. EK, entitled kid. GP, my grandfather. EK, wow, nice car you got there. Where'd you get it? GP, I bought it when I was about your age off the showroom floor. EK, no way, this thing's in way too good a shape. At this point, the father's now come out and is also looking over the car, leaning down, looking under the bumper, things people do when considering buying a car and checking for possible issues. GP, this car's all original. I've owned it most of my life. I take good care of it and make sure that it's maintained. ED, entitled dad, would you possibly be interested in selling it? GP, no sir, this car's going to my wonderful daughter, my mother, when I die. EK, man, that's stupid. You should sell it and let someone do it upright. It'd look so cool in black with red racing stripes and some nice chrome rims. ED, tell you what, sir, I'll offer you 10 grand right here, right now to buy this car from you, no questions asked. My grandfather was stunned. Not only was the son already thinking he owned the car, but the father basically just offered the equivalent of $1,000 for a brand new car. He laughed, finished pumping, and around this point I showed up in my personal vehicle, mind you, to make sure nothing had happened, as it was odd for something like a gas stop to take so long. At this point, the entitled kid is leaning into the passenger window of the car while my grandpa wasn't paying attention. His leather jacket scraping against the chrome and him physically rocking the car, trying to reach, honestly, what I have no clue. I apologize for how convoluted this is about to get. OP, me. Hey, what the hell are you doing? I dragged the kid out of the car by the back of his collar, trying as much as I can to keep his jacket off the chrome and the paint. He whirled around, probably intent to hit me, but halted for a minute when he saw me. I'm 6'4" and wear a patch-covered jean jacket that's done up with a bunch of racing patches and firearms brands. EK. Hey man, what's the big idea? I was just looking. OP. Yeah, and it ain't your car. Last I checked, this belongs to that man standing there talking with your father, not you, so get the hell away from it. Here the kid gets mad and decides to throw a punch, which he landed, taking the breath out of me. I responded by taking his legs out from under him, though, and kicking him in the stomach as he fell. The dad starts screaming at my grandfather about how I'm going to have you arrested for trying to steal my son's car, and starts calling the cops and causing a big scene. He's raving about how my grandpa was just distracting him while I attacked his son. So, of course, the cops arrive and I'm arrested. My grandfather, in his mid to late 70s, mind you, is in handcuffs, and this dad and son are ranting to the cops about how we were mugging them and that the kid had been driving the car home after just buying it. So the cop came over to speak to me first. I explained the kid and father don't own the car and that it belongs to my grandfather, who's owned it since the car was first bought, and now it's a well-known show car and that we'd been coming home from the car show when this all started. So the cop runs the paperwork, finds my grandfather's the owner, and this is backed up by the people running the car show as well as myself. In the end, the father and son were sent on their way with a warning that if they repeated the stunt, they'd be arrested and an apology to my grandfather. I was given a firm talking to for assaulting a person, even if they were intentionally or not damaging personal property. Yeah, I'm going with hell no. Cars are like wives. You can look, but don't touch. Whatever cop thought that it was a good idea to give you a tongue lashing needs a complaint filed against him. Vandalizing a car is the crime here, not defending the car. That's a beautiful car, by the way. Sure as hell doesn't need anything done to it to make it better, as if that was even possible. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.